completely empty. There's nobody here. It feels so weird. Hey everyone, so I am here today in my hotel room in Sydney. Well, actually my hotel quarantine. This is a mandatory 14-day quarantine issued by the Australian government. And so I am here today just to let you know what the planning process was like, how to stay safe during travel during a pandemic. And there was so much planning that went into this. I had to do a lot of research to make sure I took all the necessary steps, and I was extra careful in taking all the necessary precautions to reduce transmission to myself and of course to others. Before I even booked my flight, I went on the Australian government website and I looked at all the mandatory requirements of returning from overseas, and it mandated that I would have to enter 14-day quarantine before I could be released to the public. So I knew that before I came that would be something that I was required to do. I booked my flights looking for flights that were a direct flight from the United States to Australia, because that would prevent transmission if I reduced the number of flights where I had to transfer to a different airport, to a different airline, to a different airplane. So I wanted a direct flight, and I found a direct flight on United Airlines, and they were fantastic. I've flown with them before, so I had no issues there. Then once I booked my flight, I had to make sure I booked a COVID-19 test within 72 hours of my flight, and I needed to make sure I would be able to get results before I departed for my flight. So that was the stressful situation, because some results would not come out for a while just because there was so much testing being done and results were being delayed. So I just made sure that within 72 hours, so within 3 days, I took a COVID-19 test each day leading up to my flight to increase my chances of getting my results in time for my flight. Luckily, I think that the system has just improved tremendously, so they've just been more efficient with getting results for these COVID-19 tests. So I actually got my results within the next day of taking it, so I had no issue there. Before going on my trip, there were a lot of things that I needed. I made sure that I packed everything I needed, of course, and also had multiple masks, hand sanitizer, and wipes. So I needed to have all the sanitizing products available for travel so that I could, of course, prevent getting the COVID-19 virus. And I also wanted to prevent transmission. So I had multiple N95 masks ready and also multiple surgical masks. I also had the cloth mask. That really gave me my sanity while I was traveling. Before, I would have been so stressed out to travel without any of these things. So then, when the day came to travel, I arrived at San Francisco airport and it was completely dead. I've never seen it like that. It was actually very eerie. Whenever I travel internationally, I go extra early because there's usually lines and it just takes a while to get checked in, and I have a lot of luggage. So there was absolutely no line. There were barely any people there. So I walked right up to the register, got my bags checked in. They checked my COVID-19 test to make sure that I was negative because, of course, if you don't have that, they won't let you travel. As I was going through security, there were plenty of airport employees and I was the only one that they were checking in. So that was one good thing. I didn't feel stressed out. Usually when I'm going through security, it's a really stressful situation. There's a line and you're rushing to put all your bags onto the belt and, you know, taking your shoes off, taking your laptop out, taking your iPad out, making sure everything is in the right box, making sure you don't lose anything. So I'm usually rushing to do that, but this time, because it was only me, I didn't take my time, but I definitely wasn't rushing like I usually am. And because there were so many people working there, everyone was helping me out, telling me what to take out of my bag, and it was the least stressful experience I've ever had at the airport. I proceeded to the gate, and here was when I started to see more people, but it was still barely anybody. There were probably 4 people around me. Of course, most of the restaurants and the stores were closed, but the duty-free store was open, and so I went to the duty-free store to entertain myself, and there I actually bought Shiseido products. I am obsessed with Shiseido skincare products. I think they're really good. My mom uses them and she looks great for her age, and I tried them because of her, and I notice a difference in my skin when I use the Shiseido products compared to my other skin products. I saved a bit of money buying it from duty free. I've never actually bought duty-free gifts before, so this was my first time. So I didn't know that I couldn't take those products right away. They had to put it into a bag and they delivered it to our gate. And when you are going through your gate to go on the plane, that's when they can give you the duty-free products. So when we boarded, of course, there weren't as many people as there would usually be on a flight. So most of us got to spread out. I was not near anyone around my rows, but I could see people. But most of us got a whole row to ourselves. So it was a bit like flying first class, even though I wasn't flying first class, because I could lie down, and the flight attendants were so nice to us. They gave us multiple pillows and blankets. I got onto the plane, I settled in. Of course, before settling in, they also gave us extra wipes and I wiped everything down. Then I was ready to relax and just wait for us to start flying, and it was actually a very nice experience. I think everyone in the plane was in a good mood, and even the flight attendants were in a good mood because they probably don't need to do as much work because there are not as many passengers on flight. So they were able to give each of us a lot of attention and care. I was able to even have conversations with the flight attendants, which they usually don't have the time to talk to us much. It really felt like a community on the airplane in these unprecedented times. So I couldn't thank United Airlines enough. It was such a great experience. I slept most of the time because I was able to lie down, and by the time I woke up, there was probably only 2 hours left of the flight, and pretty much that was it.